Hi everyone, how is it going today? It's Jack Biggidoo, the Hood Sommelier. Today is Monday, and Monday sucks. And we are obviously here on this Monday. And you'll know this show does not happen just by myself. I have to bring the man, the myth, the legend, the server with the most knowledge in the world. My man, Timmy. Let's
Hey,
bring him on both sides.
let's go. Let's go.
What's up, Timmy? Let's see if Timmy is here so I can bring him on. He his
Just
internet usually needs some internet, so I need to make sure that I'm
yeah.
on the right
Oh,
way. If y'all are here, happy Monday. Cheers to y'all. Thank you so much for always being here every Monday, supporting the channel, supporting us. I don't know what we did on this word to deserve all your love and support, but we appreciate it. And we want to let you know that we are here. And today is going to be one of those days that we used to have, and we are bringing it back uh, the right way. Let me see. Let me see here.
I'm having issues on this end.
Your internet is not here. Bladnock, you think Bladnock knew that that's what I'm drinking tonight? What's up, Bladnock? Guess what I'm drinking tonight? Since y'all won't send me, the whiskey that I keep asking for, you just show it to me online. Guess what? I'm drinking this. I'm drinking this Blood Nut tonight. I thought about Blood Nut today, and they came on the show. This is what I'm drinking tonight. Look at this gorgeous bottle, right?
Damn, that is nice.
This gorgeous, beautiful bottle. They just make just beautiful, beautiful bottle designs. But uh, Tim, obviously, uh,
I don't know what's going on over here, man.
Tim is unable to join. That's what he says on the internet. Let's see what's going on. If I can send him a request. His internet needs some internet. You guys know Tim.
My my internet apparently needs some internet. It's not going great for me at the moment.
He's always doing something. He breaks things all the time. Okay, okay. Black Dog, I'll wait for y'all. My email is still open. What's up, Tiffany? How's it going? I thought about you today. I actually was thinking about you. Timmy is finally here. What's up,
Are
Timmy?
we going? Are we working?
Let me see here. Uh, iPhone. Okay.
It's just spinning over here for me.
Can you hear me now, Tim?
I can hear
Because
you over here, but I can't hear you over here.
I don't understand. The phone is not working. Your Tim internet always needs some internet. I don't know. Somebody's Tim house comes and break the internet right before he start the show.
I got nothing. Can you hear me?
Is that? Oh, he's back now. He's back now. You're back. And you
Ugh.
just need to change your this earphone thing. You think you got on lockdown? I think you got it all wrong.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's not working at all now. My fault was I had to talk shit about it.
All right, party people, how's it going? We're not gonna waste a lot of time. Share this with all your friends. If y'all are here, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, share this with your friends because
Yes, Monday does suck.
this show is your opportunity to not have you have a show link on YouTube, Instagram, or anywhere to send to someone and go, hey, I'm just sending you this because all the knowledge you need is here. Okay, Tim. Now you're just messing with me. What is going on now? Anyway,
Good grief.
yes. I love my Australian whiskey.
What is
I wish I had
happening?
more of it,
I
but
can't
Black Dog
hear.
make it
I
impossible
can't hear
for me to
shit.
have Australian whiskey. So I just have to stay with my man Jake most of the time because he always taking care of me. Uh, but if you're here,
This is everything sucks. I hate everybody.
Seriously,
Nothing works.
you are you are killing the vibe right now. I'm
Nothing
on.
works.
I'm ready to go, and you are killing my vibe right now. We're ready to go. We gotta
Nothing's
go.
working.
Teachers, we are
Nothing's
teachers
working.
today. All right. All right. So we are going to start, and then we're going to bring Tim back in because his Monday truly is sucking today. So we're going to be out. He's going to start his computer and be in. But today we are starting, and we are going back to the basis. The basis meaning the small things people ask you every time they come into whiskey. And some of these things I think you all think you know, but some of them you get it wrong. Why did I say let's go back to the basics? Is because people, when I posted about bottle and bond, there was a comment on one of my Facebook posts that said, hey, we are it has to be a minimum of 50 it has to be a minimum of uh 50% ABV. And I started laughing. I'm like, minimum of what are you talking about? Right. So it's one of those things that I'm hoping that we can clarify some of these things for you. You can share this with your friends, share this live in their DM, and make sure you bring them up so we can actually talk. We will talk about things like what's castrate, what is what does bottle and bond means, what is a Japanese whiskey, what is an Australian whiskey, what does single malt means, how is it made? Because all these things are things you hear all the time, but can you, with confidence, when you go to the store, know exactly what you're buying? If the answer is no, that means you still got to come back to school. So if 1 plus 1 equal 2 and 2 plus 2 equal 4, we are bringing you back to the basis. So when you jump into a store, you walk into a store, you amongst your friends, you know what you're talking about. You don't sound like that person that pretend to be smart, but actually is saying the dumbest stuff over and over and over. But no one wants to correct you because the embarrassment will be too much. So this is what uh we are bringing you back. So classes in session. Make sure you actually sit still. People that are talking will be reprimanded. The principal office is open. That's the block button. All right. The principal office is open. That's the block button. If you do something stupid in this class, we do not give you second chances. We take you to the principal office. So if you're here, welcome to the 2022 Back to Basis class. We're gonna start with something simple, some we talk about all the time. Um, I'm gonna start, and then I'm gonna ask Tim. We are gonna do it popcorn style. It's not gonna be. Yes, I am spanking people and send them to the principal's office. That's what's happening. So one of the things we are doing right now, we're gonna do it popcorn style. I want to think of since Tim work at a bar, I work usually with education that is usually not behind the bar. I'm gonna go on based on my normal experience, and then Tim can bring one subject that he's thinking about. The first thing I'm gonna talk about, the rules should be simple as always. Everything can be whiskey. Everything distilled can be whiskey, but not everything belongs in a specific category. So not everything, every bourbon are whiskeys, but not every whiskey is bourbon. Right. Rule number one: every rye is a whiskeys, but not every whiskey is rye. Every every single malt is a whiskey, but not every whiskey is a single malt. So when you use the expression whiskey, you are literally are just using in human word, you're using the word people. Everybody can be people. It could be a man, a woman, it could be anybody, black, white, Chinese, Asian, whatever it is that you got going on that is people. Everybody can be people, but not everybody can be Tim, or not everybody can be Jack. So if you use the word whiskey, you are using literally, I like to call it, uh, a promiscuous word. Anybody can use the word whiskey. Just use it. Just take it, use it. Whiskey is for everybody. So when you're gonna use the word whiskey, right? Because even in Africa, people will use whiskey to refer to dark spirit, and they won't use it to refer to single malt. But everything can be whiskey. So next time you're amongst your friends and you use the word whiskey and they say, "Oh, would you like some whiskey?" Your next question should be, "Oh, which type of whiskey do you have?
What you got?"
What you got?" Right? And when you go to your friends and you say, "Well, I'm a whiskey lover," sir, it's like you saying, "I sleep with everything." Oh, hold on, sir. We need explanation. You know, we need specifics to be sure we know which category we are putting you in. So we have to make it clear. Any spirit, right? Any spirit that is distilled could be whiskey, but not every whiskey can be a specific group of spirit, because when it comes to group of spirit, rules and regulation applies to them for them to qualify. It could be terroir, it could be location, it could be proof, it could be origin, it could be maturation, it could be anything that you think of, one little twist and is no longer something. So lesson number one, that's a lesson number one. When you're using the word whiskey, remember you're using it for everything. Everything is whiskey. If you got it, say I got it. And if you have question, say I have question. But if you got it, put an F in the chat or put I got it in the chat, and we'll move on to the second one. When I say we're going to the basics, we are going to the basics. So don't, if you know this already, good for you. You got an A+ in the first lesson. Good for you. We're starting with the simple stuff. Tim, hit them with one thing that you want the people to actually know in the basics class.
Bourbon doesn't have an age statement. I hear this all the time at the bar. People sitting across from me, and they're like, "Yeah, well, bourbon has to be X years old." Guess what? As soon as it goes into that charred oak container, mind you, it's bourbon. It follows all the specifications that have to be bourbon, and we'll get into those. We don't have to go into those right now, but you follow all the other specifications, you're in a new charred oak container, you are bourbon. Now,
so next time your friend give you a whiskey that was made for 60 seconds in a charred oak and call it bourbon, don't punch him in the face and say he is a dumbass. Just know that you're the one who's being a bully by actually telling this person is not bourbon. So lesson number 2, bourbon does not have to have an age statement. So
to be bourbon, it does have to have an age statement, but it doesn't have to be in for a specific time to be called bourbon. It could be called, you could have a charred oak bucket, brand new oak, brand new char, no distillate has hit that. You could walk over to the still, fill it up with new make. It's now bourbon.
Correct. So
you dump it out and try to fill it up again? Nope, not bourbon anymore.
No, that's not bourbon. So we're gonna expand in immediately and say what qualifies something to be called bourbon.
You want all the specifications?
If I come to you, I say, Tim, I want some bourbon, but I don't know what makes this one bourbon and the other one you're gonna pour me is not bourbon. I don't understand. Aren't they all made the same way? Didn't Jack just say that it's all whiskey? So why is it that you calling this one bourbon and I can call the other one bourbon?
So
I would say kill your volume on your computer if you can, because you're getting
it's my computer is going through my headphones, so it can't be from that.
All right. Tell the people what qualifies as bourbon. So for today, we can clear it up.
Yeah. So it has to be at, or it has to come off the still no higher than 160 proof.
Hmm.
It can't go into the barrel any higher than 125 proof.
Okay.
It has to be in a new charred oak container. Doesn't
Hmm.
have to be a barrel.
Hmm.
Doesn't have to be white American oak. It just has to be
Oak.
new charred oak container. Okay.
Hmm.
It has to be made up of at least 51% corn,
At least.
at least. And it has to be made in America.
America. All right.
So
So
one of the biggest misconceptions, this happens all the time too. I start talking about bourbon from other areas of the states, and I go, well, that's not bourbon. Doesn't have to be from Kentucky.
ladies and gentlemen, this is for the people in the back. The student that are always talking in the back. I'm talking to y'all that never pay attention. Bourbon, as long as it's made in America, you can call it bourbon. So next time someone from somewhere in buttfuck South Dakota is telling you he's making bourbon, don't punch him in the face. Just say, hey, I understand. As long as you're using 51% or more corn, guess what? It is bourbon. So I hear this argument all the time amongst people, especially new drinkers. Some are like, "Oh yeah, I got this bourbon from Indiana. Or I got this bourbon from Washington," and the guy's like, "Oh, that's not bourbon." Like somebody always come and go, "That's not bourbon. Bourbon is from Kentucky." I'm glad Kentucky gets the respect that it gets, but ladies and gentlemen, today in class we are learning one major thing: bourbon does not have to come from Kentucky, and that's on God. For anybody here, we will be taking question of things that you actually have. What's up, Tony? Uh, anybody that have a question, put in a question. We obviously prioritize on YouTube super chat questions. So if you have a super chat question and you put it up, we answer it right away. If you have a question, put it in. We'll get to you when we get to you. Obviously, when you pay me, you're my priority. So obviously, um, I'm what do you call it? The next one that I'm gonna bring to. I heard you hear this thing that all the time. The whole thing about Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey. Why you guys always saying Tennessee whiskey? Isn't it bourbon? Isn't it bourbon?
Nope.
The truth is you are not wrong, right?
But it's not.
You're not wrong, but it is not. Because if a rule apply to a spirit, it simply means that that spirit has to follow that rule and earn its name. There's something, there's also a pride about earning your name, right? When you actually are a spirit. So Tennessee whiskey is made the same way as bourbon is made, but there's one major difference between the two. Once the bourbon is made, it goes through one thing. Now, as the proud African in me will tell you that that's the way Africa used to um, Africans used to actually distill, or I would say clean their water, but it has to go through what they call in Tennessee the Lincoln County process. What is the Lincoln County process? You say maple charcoal.
Maple charcoal.
Maple charcoal is laid on a surface with with a multiple layer at the end and poured over to filter through. Now, in if you are talking to other whiskey, they will call that kind of a chill filtered way of actually cleaning the whiskey. take the congeners out of the whiskey, give it more of a crisp thing. But anything that come for Tennessee to qualify to be on the label to actually be Tennessee whiskey, do have to go through the Lincoln County process, which is a maple charcoal filter system that is used once the whiskey is completed to actually filter out any impurity to say. That's what gives Tennessee whiskey their 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 line of respect or their specialty when it comes to something. So bourbon can be made in Tennessee. Tennessee whiskey is also made in Tennessee. So somebody can be in Tennessee and make bourbon. Perfect example, Uncle Nearest can make bourbon. But if they use the charcoal filtration of their bourbon, now they earn the right to call it Tennessee whiskey. So we
Tennessee
just have to
whiskey.
be, you just have to understand when you see that on the label exactly what it is. Now, some other distilleries around the world use that way of also filtering the whiskey, but they choose not to call that Tennessee whiskey. So, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? So, I just want to make sure y'all understand that's the only difference there. Tim, what is another thing that you can hit the class with? If you got it, say, I got it.
So,
Wisconsin can't make Tennessee whiskey. No,
no, they
no.
can't. Only Tennessee can make Tennessee whiskey. Somebody said, Whiskey Spectre said, hold on, let me pull it up here.
Is there rules
It's
against
no
it?
different than Kentucky defining Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Actually, it is different, okay? So to be called Kentucky bourbon, you have to be in your Kentucky bourbon has to be made and rested for 1 year in Kentucky to be called Kentucky bourbon. Straight bourbon's 2 years. There's another age statement for you. So
Straight.
Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. This does have an age statement. This is the 6th year, but being Kentucky bourbon and being Tennessee whiskey are two different things. In a way, they're kind of the same, but they're different.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. They can be the same.
But that I mean,
So
here's another great example of this. Right? Look at this. What does that say?
charcoal
Charcoal
filtered.
filtered.
Mm-hmm.
Charcoal filtered. So Jack, why is this bourbon? Why is this bourbon and not Tennessee whiskey?
Because the bourbon was made was made in Kentucky using the same style as Tennessee whiskey. Like I said, a lot of distillery will use that charcoal filtration. Tennessee usually use maple charcoal filtration, just like Sam just say, which is very unique. But there is distilleries that will use that maple charcoal filtration. They just choose that because that distillery is not in Tennessee. They can't call it Tennessee whiskey.
All right.
Otherwise,
Right.
Tennessee whiskey could be made anywhere because maple is in a lot of states.
So is Jack Daniel's bourbon? No, but only because it doesn't want to be.
Yes. Jack Daniel is like that friend that tells you guys, we a friend, but we not the same. That's Jack Daniel. Jack Daniel said, we cool, but call me sir. It's like one of those people that say, hey, Tim, or Tim is my friend. And Tim go, hey, Jack. You're like, no, for you is Mr. Bacon. But thank you. That's how I feel when it comes to Jack Daniel.
I'm
Jack
sorry.
Daniel is like,
Do you know me by my Christian name?
my Christian name, is like it's like, hey, my name is Ryan. And I'm like, oh yeah, what's up? Ryan's like, no, for you, it's gonna be Sir. That one dude named Ryan. You're like, I thought you said we were friends. Yes, we are, but not like that. So it's one of those things that I truly believe that is one of those things that I think, you know, people need to know, right?
Let's see.
What? How does Sam choose violence all the time? Sam always come in choosing violence. Today
I'll
we're
tell
not
you
talking
what.
about specific brands. We are giving basic lessons. So what Dickel is what? Tell people what is Dickel?
Dickel's Tennessee whiskey.
Dickel is Tennessee whiskey. So for all of you guys that
I
actually
love it. I love it, Sam. I love me some Dickel.
and I do not like me some Dickel.
And that's okay. And that's okay.
The what do you call it? Somebody already said here, Dickel is awful, but
Dickel
I
does
want to
also
make
make
sure.
bourbon.
I want to make sure we keep trucking along. Um, do you have one thing you want to bring in the basics lesson? What's your next thing?
It's on here. Can you see it?
Bottle.
Bottled in bond.
All right.
If you guys are following me on Instagram right now, you know I'm doing 30 days of bonded. But what does bonded mean? Well, I'm glad you asked. So I'll go way, way, way back and then we'll go forward. 1897, the government stepped in and said, we're going to put a seal of quality on the whiskey so nobody else will die. Whiskey used to be in a barrel at a general store or your corner store or wherever it was that you bought all the shit that you needed. It sat up on the very top shelf in a barrel, and you went in.
We got a lot of smart students in class today. They're dropping knowledge. We got a lot of smart student.
You went in with your jug, you filled up your whiskey, and you filled it up with whiskey and went on. Well, they could tamper with it, and they could add a bunch of shit to it that didn't need to be there. People were dying from it. So the government stepped in 1897 and said, bonded. You know you're not going to die from it. You know it's going to be from one distillery and one distilling season from one master distiller. It also has to be in a glass bottle. That's not so that has a little interchanging today, but then it had to be in a glass bottle so you knew it wasn't tampered with. Had to have a tax strip. It had to be 100 proof, and it had to be at least 4 years old. And the big thing, it had to be in a government bonded warehouse. So there you go. Bottled in bond.
Bottle in bond. When you see bottle in bond, and I think we're missing one ingredient. You're missing one ingredient out of that story.
No.
One.
No.
Proof.
I said it. 100 proof.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
That's fine.
I didn't hear it. So another thing, class, we need to talk about age statement.
Let's go.
The rule of age statement. So
this is good.
Because we're seeing a lot of whiskey that are coming out, right? A lot of whiskey that are coming out. A lot of craft whiskey. So we're talking OKI, we're talking barrel, we're talking a blue run. We are talking what do you call it? We are talking Lucky 14. All those blended barrel, all blended whiskeys that are coming out with an age statement. There is one rule to whiskey, and this applies specifically in bourbon, rye, American whiskey, is if you blend any whiskey together and want to put an age statement on the bottle, whatever you do, you still have to put the age of the youngest whiskey in the blend. Perfect example. Let's take barrel. I'll take barrel. Barrel today released batch 32. That batch contained a 20-year-old Kentucky whiskey, a 14-year-old Kentucky whiskey, a 10-year-old Kentucky whiskey and a 5-year-old Kentucky whiskey. Now, a bottle that's containing a 20-year-old whiskey, you would think, oh, why can't it be 20-year even if it's 60% of it? But the first minute that 5-year-old whiskey went into the blend, that bottle now, age statement, has to be a 5-year-old whiskey. So that's one thing I want to keep in mind. So pay attention, right? Pay attention to those things, because sometimes I feel like people will leave good whiskey on a shelf by just looking at the age statement of the whiskey, which is usually not fair. So if me, I consider myself a nerd when it comes to whiskey. So when someone goes to actually give me a bottle, or a brand is telling me about a bottle and they've blended it, even that's where somewhere I have a beef with Smoke Wagon, because Smoke Wagon does not tell us what blend goes into the whiskey. It's just uncut and filter, so you don't know what you're drinking. So when a blend come in, and when a brand is telling us about specific whiskeys that went into their blend, I get excited because I love the transparency. Because I'm like, oh, you are telling me that you took, I think it was one of the, and I think Barrel is probably one of the blenders that's very upfront with what they're doing. And they were telling me like their first ever 15-year that they released, what on an interview, they were telling me, they're like, oh yeah, we actually had a 17-year that we actually reduced down with a 15-year, so we had to call it a 15. I say, you say I'm drinking a 17-year juice right now? It's like, yeah, the only 20% of 15-year went in, but they have to call it a 15-year. So pay attention to those little things. Penelope does the same thing, right? They're on front about their blend. So make sure you work with people, or you pay attention to those brands, because you'll be surprised that you're drinking amazing whiskey, but because the age statements seem low, you'll be like, oh, I don't want a 5-year whiskey.
Oh,
I'd rather spend the extra $250 on 10 more years. But on the contrary, you're missing how the blend was made. So that's something I wanted to bring to you. Age statement doesn't necessarily mean the age of the whiskey. The rule of age statement still apply. So somebody can have a fantastic 40-year-old whiskey, but decided, you know what, this is maybe too oaky. I just don't like how the oak applied to the whiskey. So I'm just gonna put in maybe a 10-year-old or 15-year-old in. And next thing you know, that's now a 15-year-old juice. Because that's the rule of age statement. If you got it, class say, got it. I got it.
I
Let's see in the
got it.
comment, I got it. If you got it,
Here's
I
another
got it.
here's another great example of that. Okay, so Remus, okay, batch 5,
Mhm.
down here at the bottom, it shows their blends and the percentages. So this is 9% 16-year-old, 5% 15-year-old, 19% 14-year-old, and 67% 13-year-old. Guys, how old is this bourbon? It's got 16, it's 16 years old. It's got some 16-year-old in there, so it's 16 years old. How old is this? 13 years old. The youngest thing in there is 13 years old. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Someone's paying attention.
We got
Iron
good
Lung's paying
student and we
attention.
got student talking in the class. So class is in session. Now, let's see if you got things that we talked about. So, someone in Texas, Garrison Brothers, decide to make a whiskey that is 57% corn
Mhm.
and aged in a new charred oak
Okay.
for 3 years.
Okay.
What can that person call that whiskey he just made when he is actually bottling it? What can he call it?
That's bourbon, friend.
Let the class answer, Professor.
Oh, I thought you were
Professor
asking me.
Tim.
Shit.
Let the class answer. We are
Damn it.
we are asking. We want to know if our students are following.
Fuck me. I thought that was for me.
It's not for you. You are the professor.
Oh, shit. I'm gonna sit in the corner.
You are the professor. You can't answer the question.
I fucked up, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna sit over here in the corner.
So now
Try again. Try again. Lips are sealed. Lips are sealed. Lips are sealed. I promise.
Let's go to the other side of American whiskey. What makes something be? I have this bottle here of this. There is this guy called Alain Bishop. I don't know who that is. And this thing tells me is a rye whiskey. What does that mean? What does a rye whiskey mean? What qualifies as a rye whiskey?
Is it me? Am I talking?
Yeah, you were talking.
It has to be at least 51% rye.
51% rye. What if they use 100% rye?
It could be rye whiskey.
All right. What if they use 49% rye?
Not rye.
Not rye. Okay.
Not rye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, lesson number 4 of the class today. If you ever read on any bottle that's a rye whiskey, regardless of what it says, rye whiskey, it has to have a minimum of 51% rye. Does that mean that it has to have a certain age?
I'm scared to talk
you,
now.
Professor. We are
I'm so scared to talk now. Here's the thing. It follows all the same rules that bourbon follows. It just has to be at least 51% rye.
Exactly. So for all the people that were not talking in class, I'm glad that we're getting good answers. Matt, welcome. All the people are paying attention. Is a no everywhere. Is no here. Y'all are paying attention. No age statement required. It is a rye. A 51% or more rye is used.
Ryan nailed it though. He said not unless they want to call it straight rye. Straight
Yes.
rye or bonded rye.
Correct. So you have to understand that these rules apply together. They roll together. So you have to pay attention to that. Now let's get to one thing that is not so common, because we're going to stay in America, and then from America we are jumping to Europe.
Traveling around the world, folks.
Traveling around the world to still apply rules that apply. So let's talk about the word that get everybody excited. Get nipples hard all around the whiskey industry. One word, which is two word, but one word if you hear it right. Get people's nipples hard. The word is single barrel.
Ooh.
What does that mean?
Oh man.
Single barrel.
I got bad news for you
Single
guys.
barrel get everybody excited. Let's talk about single barrel.
I got bad news for you guys. It actually does not have any legal classification.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Louder for the people in the back. Single barrel legally doesn't mean anything. But you're trusting that distiller took all the distillate that was aged in those barrels and they bottled it, one barrel, and they sent it to you.
Correct. So, single barrel, for people that do not know, is nothing legal.
Sad
It's
to
not.
say.
Single barrel is 100% market.
You want to know something really fucked up? Get this, okay? Here. Let's pretend this is a barrel, a single barrel, okay? This is a vat of whiskey. Pouring this into a barrel. Guess what? I can now call this single barrel.
Correct.
That's how fucked up it is.
So there is three things that actually don't have a legal definition to thing. Marketing. One, single barrel.
Solid
Two.
dressing.
That is funny. That is some funny ass stuff. Mr. Burke, you should be on YouTube. That is some funny ass stuff. Three things that don't have a legal definition that actually applies really. If another word that you hear all the time, small batch. What does that mean? What legally define a small batch?
Don't mean dick.
Don't mean anything. Single barrel doesn't mean anything. Yeah, it could.
Here's
It could,
when it
because
does.
so somebody actually said something that was interesting. He said if they're not legal defined, there are conventions. There are conventions that are violated could harm the brand. Yes. So single barrel is really a trust relationship. You trust in the brand that this truly came from one barrel. Small batch, you trust in them that really they batch only the minimum amount of barrels that they found was okay to actually put together. That is represented, I think, 30% of the whole of what will be produced. So,
but it doesn't even have to be that. Like, here's the thing.
It doesn't
I
have
make
to
bourbon. I make bourbon. My batches are 500 barrels. Tomorrow, I'm going to start making small batch whiskey. And it's going to be 499 barrels.
Yep.
It's small batch. It's one barrel
small
less than my normal batch, so I can call it small batch. Now, here's one thing though. Here's one thing you got to pay attention for, because this will be on some labels, and this is a cool thing that some distilleries do. They will say small batch of X amount of barrels.
Correct.
That's cool.
Transparency.
Yeah, man.
You just have to trust that they actually are doing. Now, here is another one. Somebody brought it up. Cask strength and barrel strength. No legal definition. Nope. No. Now, do I like cask strength whiskey? Yes. Do I like barrel strength whiskey? Yes. But do I expect it to come at 96? I saw a cask strength whiskey that was 96 proof. What word is that? Aha! Here it is. This motherfucker right here. Orphan Barrel, you owe me money.
Man, I remember when you asked me to get that for you.
Yes. Orphan Barrel owes me money because they just use this to trap me into buying this whiskey till I was bamboozled and realized that this whiskey at Castrate is lower in proof, right? Is lower in proof than just regular whiskey that I drink on a daily basis. I can literally wash my face with this 44.6% bullshit that they actually serve me here. This is where you know there's no legal proof, right? Here you go. Is 16 years, is cask strength, is not a single barrel, and is 89.8%. When you hear cask strength, in your mind, you're like, oh, this shit's gonna be hot. No. Legally, they can still put cask strength and serve me whiskey that is under 90 proof. Bamboozled.
Well, look at Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be like blow your ass out of the water proof. Those
I was bamboozled.
those
Bamboozled.
barrels can sit at the bottom of the rick house and lose a bunch of proof, and then they go to barrel it. They're like, ah, shit, it's 89 proof.
I understand
It's
it.
Castrate,
But
man.
don't bring me this Castrate bullshit. Oh,
Real quiet in here.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure I read one of the question that came. So I wanted to make sure that people understand that you will literally get a bottle, and because there's no legal definition to castrate, you will be bamboozled in the process. So before I buy a bottle, I always say something. I'm like I say, I'm a nerd. I'm admitting that I'm a nerd. I'm the one asking 1,000 questions. 1,000 questions. So I'm asking, hey, what do you call it? Where is it from? What's the blend? What's the mash bill? What's the everything. Every single thing. I ask every single question. Why? Because I just want to know what I'm about to drink, right? Because he has to make sense. But people are like, oh, you asking too many questions. Sir. Oh, yeah.
How can bourbon be finished and still be considered bourbon?
Oh, somebody's asking actually a real Blood Knock actually.
That's a good question.
Blood Knock chose violence. So he's asking the definition of matured versus finished. So I feel like, and this is where I know from just my study, if something is matured, the word matured usually is followed by a certain amount of years. So during the initial maturation of a whiskey, you have, they'll be like, oh, the whole time of the whiskey getting all its flavors is being aged. Aged and matured kind of are the same when you actually go. So those are the same. It was aged in or matured in. The reason why, obviously, British people or European like to use fancy word. Like, it was aged in this barrel for this much. No, it was matured. Matured for this much. The reason why they have to use that matured is because usually in Europe, and we will come to that, barrels can be moved from one barrel to the other barrel and still keep their age statement. So maturation can follow a spirit without actually affecting the age of the spirit. Finished just means simply we put it there and we hope you get a little bit of the taste of what we put it in. Or you can be some brands and put your extra juice or piss in it to give it the extra thing, or put some Kool-Aid in it. Right? So we have to be clear that a finished bourbon, finished a scotch, there's not even such a thing as a finished scotch anyway, because they will tell you how long it's been in there or how long they've aged it in there. But bourbon is the new thing. Finishing now is like finishing is like the new Maybelline, the new makeup. Okay, it's like, oh, you look okay, but let me put a little bit of that makeup mascara on you and hope that you look a little different than what you started with. I don't know if you've seen those video of, people will be like, their face look like all crooked in the face. They missing one tooth, and then they come to the camera and they do this, and they come back and they look like someone else. And you're like, holy shit. That's how I feel like finish is. It's like I'm not joking.
Oh
That-
fuck, I can't.
Guys, this is not a joke. But that's how I feel every time someone say, "Oh, I finished my whiskey in something." It's like the person come with one buck tooth, one, like the left eye is crooked, and then they do this, and then they come back and it's something else. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Who the fuck are you? Get out of here. You know. So that's how I feel when
Oh
it comes
shit.
to
Oh shit.
finishes. You know, we just need to be that's finishes are probably the biggest scam in whiskey, and you really have to be very alert and very aware of it. It is really, really, really one of the biggest scam in whiskey is the finish, because you don't know if it's true, you don't know if it's legit, and you can't trust that it is legit, because um bourbon does not have, bourbon does not have a rule that you cannot put
Not going
any
down that road.
additive in it. So somewhere, I don't, I cannot guarantee or tell someone, hey, this finish is legit, unless I've been there and seen the barrel that it was finished in. I drilled it and I actually had the whiskey directly from it, right? The only time I would trust a finish is when I actually know the master distiller himself and their integrity of what they want their juice to be. Because one thing we have to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, is whiskey is an art. Whiskey is an art. Some people take pride in their art, or some people will give you a macaroni drawing or something and tell you it's art. Those two are making art. But somebody shitting on your pride and another person is lifting your soul. Those two things are the same.
Somebody trusts you with it.
This so
This chat's
whiskey is
choosing
moving
violence, man.
to violence, to the road of violence as well. Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is that we have to 100% be okay and understand that is a trust relationship. Some people want you to know that we are truly what we say we are. And to those people, perfect example, Barstown Bourbon Company. They will tell you exactly, hey, we have our partnership with this so and so brand. So this is what we did. They're transparent. I've been there. I've seen how they work. I trust that they're really finishing or doing what they're doing with the brand that they say they are. Now, do I get those notes in? That's why usually I tell people, if you wanna put any brand to the test, right? You cannot
Thanks,
say,
Sam.
oh, I love cognac finish, right? Cognac finish, but yet you never had cognac. Like, sir, man, you lying. Oh, I love rum finish, but you never had rum. So how is it that you like rum finish, right? Oh, I love tequila finishes, but you give them tequila like, so, sir, ma'am, what's going on? Right? So let's be clear that you cannot say you know you want a finish when you don't even like the product that is finishing, but yes, you're lying to all your friends that, oh my God, that tequila finish is everything. The lies you telling,
So
right?
somebody asked a question, and it got answered in the chat.
Was
But I
it?
want to make sure it also goes across the airwaves as well. So someone said, "Well, hey, if you finish it in a barrel, it's no longer bourbon, right? You can't call it
No.
bourbon; it's now whiskey. As long as it says, okay, right after it says bourbon, okay, straight bourbon whiskey, finished, finished in. As
Always.
long as right after it says finished in,
Always.
okay, it's bourbon
Yeah.
still.
I'll
Still be
do
called
that.
bourbon.
Finished in.
There you
So,
go.
but like I said, what most people don't understand is that truly is drinking your bourbon is truly, yes, there is regulation around it, but let's be clear that it is a real a trust a trust relationship. It is. So that's why I keep telling people, make sure you go visit distilleries, right? Make sure you go visit distilleries. Oh, okay, that's another one.
Staves and double oaks.
You guys, you know what?
Hey
We
man,
said
we said
back,
we could ask the questions today.
hold on. We said back to the basis, not advanced class. We got advanced class students coming into a basic class. We say back to the basics. And you guys just go for advanced questions. Oh, I wasn't ready for this. Violence, exactly. Violence. All right.
Double oak does mean a lot of things.
Mean a lot of things. That's another thing that annoys me. But Jesus, please forgive me. I've been trying to be good lately, so I'm trying not to offend a lot of brands while I say stuff. Because especially Sam. I heard Sam today got a lot of money, so I want to make sure I'm her best friend.
So I've been told. Sam, congratulations, by the way. I'm super stoked for y'all.
Congratulations to Barstown Bourbon Company.
Way to go, BBC.
You know what? Actually, let's take a whiskey news pause. Let's take a quick whiskey news pause.
Let's do it.
News number one in the whiskey news. Whiskey news number one of the day. It was officially announced today that Barstown Bourbon Company have got a new investor. They're now owned by something capital
PPC. PPC.
Okay. BBC. So they're owned by BBC now.
PP.
And,
PPC.
Okay.
BBC is owned by PPC.
All right.
I think
BBC is owned by
abbreviation.
PPC. So in whiskey news, Barstown Bourbon Company is now have a big money maker behind them. I'm hoping, and from all the comments I've read, the people only asking for two things. One, they're hoping that the bourbon remains the same, since the people that are there are still the same. And two, they are hoping that they see more distribution of your product all around the United States. The major of the comment is what I actually saw. So congratulations to y'all, and I'm hoping for great things to come out of there. I can't wait to come visit and hang out.
I think you're going to be in 40. Sam, do I remember this correctly? 40 states now? You guys are going to be in 40 states? I think that's right.
Yeah. So
we'll say it's right.
On the second news of the day, Barrel Batch 32 is out. It's a blended straight bourbon. Is a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys, distilled and aged in Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. The selection is 5, 6, 7, 10 year barrel, aged in American white.
Oh my God! You're in all 50 states now. Get the out of here!
You're just gonna interrupt my news.
I'm sorry. I got excited.
Bottled in Kentucky and 115.34 proof at Castrate bottling. So this is a balance of the way they've actually have this barrel in, and I love their press release. I hope more company do their press release like this so we can share properly. I'm talking to you, Matt. Their press release is saying that this is a selection on the percentage of what they use. The selection is 40%. They actually are saying that they have some private barrels that are coming out. 4 different private barrels that are coming out that they finish in Cognac Park, VSOP, Vajara wine barrel, Pedro Jimenez sherry barrel, and Ruby port barrel. They are preparing for people that actually have a group that want to do a release. They're preparing to actually bring out a component where you can actually blend 5 year, 7 year, 10 year, and 17 year. So that's the barrel news. News number 3 of the day for people that were paying attention to the post today.
17.
Heaven Hill.
17.
Heaven Hill. Heaven Hill today told us what their spring edition of the Old Fitzgerald is going to be. The Old Fitzgerald is going to be a 17-year-old bottle and bond Old Fitzgerald that it will be officially available next month for everybody, right? To actually purchase. So the last news of the day goes to Blue Run on March 10th, which will be exactly in 3 days. The
Thursday.
batch 2 of the High Rye Castrate is announced of Blue Run. They will be actually releasing that on Silbacks or on through their portal bluerun.com. So that is the news of whiskey. As always, I tell every brand I don't mind sharing. So if a brand want to have a press release, make sure you actually send it out so we can share it in the game and tell people about what new whiskeys are being released.
Yes, sir.
We've talked a lot about bourbon. We are not just bourbon lovers, so I'm gonna jump in. We are traveling our way to Europe now, and we are going to talk the first spirit. For people that don't understand, we are going to do two things.
Ooh.
There is two words that I want people to keep in mind: brandy and cognac.
Okay, Brandy and Cognac. Got it.
We are going to the region of France. So anything that is
See you,
made
Sam.
with gotta hop off. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Cheers. Cheers, Sam. I wanted to make sure that people understand that the rule that apply when it comes to cognac and Armagnac or Calvados, those three are 100% based on region and not on the spirit. Because we in America do make distilled wine as well. We could call it cognac, but we have to call it brandy. So anything that is grapes that have been mashed and then distilled can become a spirit, but the only thing we can call it is brandy.
What about Armiac, Jack?
Correct. Armagnac, cognac, and Calvados. The difference is terroir. The grapes that were used come from the result of the harvest of the region of Armagnac. That's the first thing that qualifies it to be called Armagnac. For the most, those are aged sometime in barrels, ex-bourbon barrel, Pedro Jimenez barrels, and transfer into a vase or a damjan to be aged and sit later. It's fermented wine, it's fermented um, grape juice from the region. So every cognac for something to have cognac on it comes. They use uni grapes. Uni grapes are what is used to make cognac. It has to come. The grape that are used, regardless of is there fresh grape, refurbished grape, those grape has to come from the harvest of the region of cognac for you to be able to have the legal right to call it cognac.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you make cognac or Armiac out of raisins?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brandy is
And
made out of that, right?
but you can still call it as long as it's from that region and it follows all the other specifics.
Correct.
Okay.
But it's raisin that they use. They don't use anything else.
Oh, okay. See, I thought it was
Brandy,
macerated.
brandy can use any fruit.
Gotcha. Okay, there's where my
Cognac has
confusion
to
was.
use.
There's where the confusion was. for me.
Correct.
Got it.
Brandy
Got
can
it.
use
Okay.
any fruit. So you can use peach to make brandy, apple to make brandy. You can use what do you call mangoes to make brandy. As long as it's sweet and can be fermented, you can make brandy. You can use
Got it.
grape to make brandy, but for something to be called cognac versus brandy, those has to come from the region of cognac.
Heard.
They have to come from the region of Armagnac, which is literally around cognac, or they have to come from the region of Calvados, which is the area surrounding Armagnac and cognac.
Getting a little apple brandy.
So for all of you guys that are drinking anything, now you can literally get shady cognac because your cognac actually or your Armagnac quality does not come from the distilling process always. It actually comes from the quality of the grape that is used. So someone can live America and go make cognac and bring it back to America, but I can tell you right now that they're getting low end quality of their grapes because French people are assholes like that. They love to keep their own stuff and their purity. So remember, if you see cognac, is region and type of grape. That's what makes it because cognac is literally it. So to put it in the same way we put it in whiskey, every every spirit distilled with a fruit, right, can be brandy, but not every brandy can be cognac, Armagnac, or Calvados.
Fun. Okay.
So if you hear and you got it, say I got it.
I
I hope
got it.
y'all are listening. I hope y'all are following. So when you go next time and you're about to grab a bottle, remember that's what it is. It has to say cognac, so that's from the region. Has to say Armagnac from the region. So you just brandy subcategory, yeah. It's just there. Everything that comes in it, but you just have to know where it'll apply. So hope y'all got it. I hope you got it.
I definitely got it.
Uh from there, we are going to leave there and head straight in the corner there to the people of Scotland. And we are going to talk about the word single malt. What qualifies something to be called a single malt? Okay. There's a
Um,
lot of things that qualify a whiskey to be called single malt.
it's a single distillery and single grain. Is that right or no?
So we're going to start by the simple.
Okay.
We're going to start by the simple. For someone to actually claim that they actually have a scotch, right? Because let's be clear, every spirit that is distilled with a grain can be called whiskey, but not every whiskey can be called scotch.
Okay.
And the number one thing that actually qualifies something as a scotch, it has to be made with some sort of grain, some sort of barley, and be made on the territory of Scotland, right? For it to be called scotch. Now you can call it whiskey if you want to, but for you to be able to call it scotch, like you can see someone like here is an Australian company, right? Australian
Okay.
company,
Okay.
but they tell you they have a lowland single malt scotch whiskey because they have to refer to the region where the grain came from, where the barley came from. So they're
Huh.
referring to that. So there is five major region in Scotland: Speyside, Isla, Lowland, Highland, and Campbelltown. We have other islands around, but those are the five major regions. So every time you see anything anywhere, you always say where it came from. Perfect example here. It will tell you right now. This is let the Highland leave. This is the space size single malt whiskey. So one of the greatest thing is that the terroir is a big deal as well. So for someone to actually claim that they're doing a scotch, that's the condition. Grain has to, grain comes there, and the location is big deal. So you can make, you can get you can get, malt or barley. You can get barley in America, right? You can use the grain to actually make it. You can use the barley to make it. But unfortunately, the only name you can give it is an American single malt.
So I have another question for you regarding to this.
Yeah.
Do you have to disclose your region where you came from?
From Scotland, it is a pride.
Okay. So here's my question. Okay, so I have
Benriac. Yeah.
Benriac is a space side, right?
Yeah.
So why don't they put it on the label?
Not always.
Okay. Okay.
Not always. But most
Why?
people take pride into it.
So why wouldn't you? Why would if it's such a pride thing? Why wouldn't you just put it on there?
But it's not always claimed, because some people will actually make like also labeling, right? Some people will actually make a bunch of batch or special release.
Okay.
Like the bottle you have there, I haven't seen a Benriac like that before. So
It's a 12-year triple distilled, finished in I think Oloroso sherry casks. Yeah.
correct. So you don't know till you know. But most time, somewhere on there, you sure it did not say anything?
Let's see. You know
Descriptive
what? It
wise,
totally does. It
it,
totally
it, it
does.
has to.
It's small. It says right
It,
there.
ha- it has to,
Yep.
because
From the
there's
heart of
no
space side.
way it's not.
From the heart
It
of space
has to
side.
say the
It's
region.
just small. Okay. Yes.
So the four things that you will see on any scotch, or any scotch or label, has to be obviously the name of the distillery, the type of, the region of where it came from, right? If it's a single malt, if it is a single malt. If it's not a single malt and it's a brand, they will not give you a region. But some companies like Johnny Walker and other places will tell you which other distillery, because they're owned by Diageo. They have multiple distillery that can create blend. So they will kind of tell you in the back, but necessarily not. Then it will tell you age, factor, type of cask. It will tell you the proof, and the master distiller or the head distiller is on there.
Oh wow. Okay.
So usually those information are just something you find on bottle. But when you buying a single malt, there's a lot of chance, right? A lot of chance that you will literally find those information on it. So that's where, when you come to someone who drink a lot of whiskeys, European Scotch, or a lot of single malt, when you ask me, "Oh, I have a single malt, I want to try it with you," the next question usually is, uh, "Hey, which type is it?" So you hear someone like, that one dude Ryan will always say, "Oh, I love Isla." What he means is that he loves most things that come from the region of Ireland, based on the terroir, based on their style of making whiskey. Each of those five regions have their own style of making whiskey due to their temperature, how the terroir affected, and the type of master blender they have.
Can you talk about the styles really quick, Jack?
Yes, sure. So if we're going to talk about the biggest region, because of how Scotch came about, right? The water of life, or whiskey came about. One of the biggest regions that was visited by King George the 14th, or no, the fifth or the sixth, came to the region of the space side. That space side is probably the most developed area, because it's also close immediately to the port. Most
Okay.
whiskeys that always come from space side.
Wow. Okay.
That space side is like the biggest thing. Now you go to the Highland, where a lot of because you have to think about it. Whiskey was ruled by transportation, because barley has to come from somewhere, and then it has to be made. So the more transportation you have, the more road and the things you have, the easier it is to make whiskey, and the boat have to get to you, right? So one of the first region that developed the whiskey came from the space side.
Okay.
Then obviously it expanded up to the higher land, which are the highland. It's later on that you start seeing more whiskey expand when road got better, right? So Speyside have a lot of the oldest distillery, the oldest cask, because everything started. Highland have their style, but they don't get a lot of, I would like to say, a lot of the, I won't say the best grain, but I would say they have the best cask. But I would say their temperature is okay. So they, because they own more of establishment, a lot of, which is a corner, a lot of independent bottler buy whiskey from the space side. You have to keep in mind, just like MGP here, when people go and source their whiskey in Scotland, you can go to a distillery and purchase their
Mm.
their white dog, or the main product, and bring it to your region and age it in a cask that you want. Because the power of Scotch is not in the white dog. It's the blender and the cask that you're using. So you could be a winemaker, right? The perfect example is Irish whiskey. When you see Mitchell and Son, they are winemakers, but they buy a lot of the whiskey and they put it in the barrel. That's why, because their great grandfather was colorblind. That's where the spot came from, because you put a spot on the barrel to know which type of barrel he was having. Blue spot, red spot, yellow spot. So
Okay.
that's
So Highland, Lowland, Speyside, Isla, Campbellton. What are your flavor profile as you move through the region? How does it change?
lowland have more of a, that coastal warm weather. So they don't really, but they get a lot of somewhat of rain, but they're kind of flat temperature. So their whiskeys are not temperamental at all.
Okay.
They're very, I always begin people in lowland, because their whiskey are really easy drinking. Again, that I understood why Black Knock loved their lowland. Very easy drinking whiskey. Very a little not dry at all, not complex in any way. Very, and harder to get to. So a lot of casks don't get to the lowland. The
Okay.
lowlands are literally very hard to get to, right? The next one is Isla. What make Isla special is that on Isla, they have peat bugs. They live almost in a bunch of valleys and next to the water that actually create phenomena in the whiskey. So they have the source of energy. But because if you think about peat is literally a fuel. It's
Okay.
literally going and actually getting, like, it's like going into a complex place of fossil fuel and digging it out and using it to actually burn and use energy. It's very coastal. Roads are still very old to get to, but he hold the knowledge of one of the more genius and older distiller out there. So you will find a lot of their whiskey. That's the whiskey everybody make a fuss about. Oh, I don't like peated whiskey or that. That's Isla. But Isla still got to get all their barrel, all their cask from other distilleries. Speyside is the pretty boy of the group, right? Their whiskeys are very complex, very vast, because they've been doing this for a long time. So they can dare to do a bunch of stuff that other people cannot do. Highlanders, for I call it the princey prince type of way. Everything in Highland that I've seen always got to have some sort of elegance to it. Very very princey. when you hear the names already, you already know you got Macallan there. That is the king of the Highland. You got all, but the whiskeys obviously, you can tell Highland have money. The whiskey obviously, have plenty of stuff. So, anyway, anyway, so I uh I would say Scotch is probably one of those things that give value if you actually think of it. Chemical don't give a fuck. Yeah, this is how you're just making whatever they can make. Uh, One of the things you have to keep in mind when you're drinking Scotch and is that they've mastered the art of cask. So think about it. You They age their stuff, they have access to more stuff, but you have to think about it. Scotland only get maximum of a 3% whiskey loss a year.
Wow.
That's their angel share. 3%. Some distillery in America are getting 3% a day. Scotland get 3% a year. Because of the type of weather they have, the cooler coastal weather, temperature doesn't fluctuate that much. So they don't lose whiskey at all. 3% is like crazy. It's usually 2% or less. That's what they get. So when there is a reason why when you look at whiskey from Europe, you can still see a 20-year-old whiskey that look completely light. And you're like, how does it been in the barrel 20 years and it's just look like, you just dumped it in a week ago? That's because there's no angel share. The barrels don't get a chance to actually go through the fluctuation. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So one thing you have to remember when you hear the word, like class in session, when you hear the word independent bottler, what that means is those people are going to main distillery, buying their juice and deciding to finish blend it the way they want to under their label. But the good thing is most independent bottler will also tell you where the juice came from. There's not really any NDA to say, oh, you got your juice from Lagavulin or you got your juice from that, so you shouldn't put it there. No, that's not true. They take pride into that,
Compass box.
right? So you wanna that's the one thing that's different from the way America does business. Let's move it. Let's move on to Japanese whiskey.
Ooh.
So what qualifies something as Japanese whiskey with the new rules?
And are the new rules in place now?
Yeah, as of July, I believe.
Oh, okay. So, I believe they have some of the same um, laws that Irish have with the whole 3 year thing, right?
Yeah.
I'll let you dive into that a little bit more.
Okay. So I'm gonna read the new rules that apply because Japanese whiskey in July changed their rules when it comes to how it is. It used to be you can make whiskey anywhere as long as it came from Japan. You can call it Japanese whiskey. There was no restriction, right? So the rule is it has to be must be made in a wooden cask. Wooden cask doesn't matter what type of wood. Wooden cask has to be aged at least 3 years in Japan. Started aged in Japan for 3 years. Bottled at a minimum strength of 40% ABV.
Okay.
And cannot have any additive.
Got it.
So same rules that apply to they will not use anything. Is no coloring. So for you to be called Japanese whiskey.
Can
That's
they
the
add can they add caramel coloring?
you can't then you have to call it you have to call it something else.
Huh. Okay.
So plain
can,
common calling may be
sorry.
used. It may be used, but you have to disclose it.
Got it. Okay.
You have to disclose it. But the original rule remains the same. It has to be whiskey mature in a wooden cask stored in Japan for a minimum of 3 years.
Got it.
And has to be bottled and take place only in Japan with a minimum strength of 40% ABV.
Got it.
Plain caramel coloring can be used, but it has to be disclosed. Otherwise, now you'll be flagged. Now, unlike Scotland, where you have to actually disclose the region of where this came from, in Japan, you have no obligation to disclose which region your barley came from or anything came from.
Got it.
Now, remember the rule. The rule when it comes to Scotch is that the change of barrels does not affect the age of the Scotch. So we have like the 32-year-old Dewar's that won Whiskey of the Year in 2019.
Oh, so good.
At 32-year-old, he actually went through 4 different barrels or cask for the 32 years.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So I thought they did. Okay, never mind. I thought they were. It does, but I thought that all 4 of those barrels were going at the same time, and then they blended them at the end. But over the 32 years, it went through 4. Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So the rule applied differently there. So when you see a 36-year-old whiskey and it still tastes fabulous and it's not over oaky, it's actually because it may have went to multiple cask before you are seeing it. But it's the same juice. Same thing for Japanese whiskey cannot do that. They have to stick to the rules. They have to stick to their 3-year-old. So when you're drinking like a Hakushu 12, Yamazaki 12, Yamazaki 18, and whatnot, you can guarantee at least what you're drinking. Now you have to understand that it used to be that people won't make whiskey. They will actually use rice, and they'll make you rice wine. And they will call it Japanese whiskey as well.
Huh, okay.
But now you can't do that. So if you do it, you also have to actually tell the consumer what it is. Sake or however you make it. But you have to call it whiskey. You have to make sure you are using barley. So that's so far what I have when it comes to whiskey. I'm gonna pause for questions if anybody has questions that they need to ask before we keep going. We're about an hour and 30 in, and that's where I like to keep it usually. But I always love when people have questions. It seems like a lot of people are not versed in the art of other whiskeys, but American whiskey. So
I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get there.
Oh, I forgot.
We did not go over Irish.
Yes, Irish whiskey. 3 years. I thought it has to be triple distilled, but that's not true.
Okay.
It does not have to be triple distilled to be called Irish whiskey. It have to be made in Ireland, in a distillery in Ireland, or any main part of Ireland. Aged for 3 years.
I'm racking, man. The only Irish I got right now is the Fighting 69.
Bottle at a minimum of 40% ABV, and it has to be made in a pot still.
It has to be made in a pot still.
Yeah, because pot still is what makes Irish whiskey what it is.
Okay.
They don't use a lot of column to rectify. They use pot still.
Got it.
Somebody say I have a coworker with a private jet. Well, we going somewhere.
Where are we going? What's up? What's up, Morgan? Where are we going?
So for the most, you'll find that a lot of Irish whiskey we use pot still. Uh, they can still claim Irish, but they're not really enforcing that rule.
Okay.
They also, as Irish whiskey, don't have, there is no such thing as single malt Irish whiskey. That is a choice. So they can use malted or unmalted barley. So to malt all their barley, they can do that and call it a single malt Irish whiskey, but they don't have to. They can use malted or malted, and they can use, so you will see things like single grain Irish whiskey or grain whiskey. That means they've used some grain, they've used some malt, some barley. They can choose however they want it. So
Got it.
they do have more flexibility as long as it's 3 years pot still. You can call it Irish whiskey. So they have a little more flexibility than others. Yeah. So somebody asked a question. They said, I know that Johnny Walker is blended whiskey from several distillery. That's actually very true. One of the greatest thing that Johnny Walker actually have as advantage over others is they have access. They own eight main distillery.
Oh wow.
Yes. So
All in the same region?
no, not all in the
Okay.
same region, which give them the possibility to do things that a lot of distillery cannot do. So last year, let me give you a minute here. Last year, for their 200th anniversary, Johnny Walker came up with the legendary eight,
Is
right?
it the ghost?
No, the legendary eight.
Oh, okay.
So that's the legendary eight.
Oh shit.
So the
So that's
legendary
all eight
eight,
distilleries?
correct, is a blend of Blair Alto, Tiny Nick, Oban, Port Dudas, Cambus, Brora, yeah, and Lagavulin.
Damn. Have you had that yet?
Of course not. It's a 200th anniversary. What do I mean?
Of course not. That
One of the
sounds
things you have
fucking
to
awesome.
understand is that that's one of the greatest thing about being part of a conglomerate is because you get the opportunity to have access to other part of your conglomerate. So one of my favorite bottles that I love to drink is the Johnny Walker Green.
15-year?
Yeah, the green, the 15-year. Yeah. But one of the things that actually make Johnny Walker Green pretty cool that Jim Beverage made, if you look at it, is that they've used one, two, three, four different distilleries. If you take a look at it, four different distilleries to blend to make the Johnny Walker Green.
Oh
So
wow.
they've used Talisker, Linkwood, Grangamore, and Koa Isla to actually make Johnny Walker Green. What even make it even special is because they actually did a special edition uh, by adding more into it, Cardu and more Koa Isla. If you're traveling, here's gonna be my advice to you. If you're traveling, this is a Johnny Walker Island Green.
What's the difference?
This have more Koa Isla in it.
Got it.
So this was made for travelers only. So it have
Oh
a little
wow.
more of that smokiness and peatiness in it over the regular 15-year that you have.
Man,
This right here, if you
I don't
travel,
have that over here. I the double black, the gold reserve, the black, the 18-year, and the blue.
yeah.
I thought I had the green, and I don't.
And for I would tell people all the time what I literally give as an advice to people. is you if you have your choice, use your money and buy 4 or 5 Johnny Walker Green than spending the same amount of money on buying a Johnny Walker Blue.
Seriously?
Yeah, you'll thank me later.
Wow. Okay.
Johnny Walker Green, the blend that was used is definitely Jim Beveridge did an amazing job on it. I'm gonna miss the man. I don't know if anybody can blend it like that, but
Yeah, because I'm a huge Blue Label fan,
no,
and
dude, Green Label all the way.
well, that's what I'm saying. If you're
Yeah,
telling me to drink green,
Blue Label is like is a dick swinging contest.
really,
That's really what it is.
man, that makes me
Blue,
upset.
Blue Label is a dick swinging contest. Let's be honest. You're drinking. You're literally drinking an age statement. You don't know the age statement of a
Okay.
blend that you don't
Okay.
even know what is about. It's costing you almost $200 to $250 to buy, but yet you if we're not talking about collectors here like a whiskey aficionado. We're talking about drinkers. Drinkers, you want this.
Got
This
it.
I found in some store where like $69. It used to be like 49. You can just go pick it up. And it went up because people got it. And it went to 59 and then went to 69. And then it went to almost I believe 89 the last time I saw it.
Mhm.
Where you can buy 3 of these for the price of a Johnny Walker Blue. It's like just saying, hey, guys, Johnny Walker Blue because I got millions.
I don't know, man. This double black is pretty damn tasty.
Double black is good.
I'm liking this double black. I need to go pick up a green label now.
Oh no, and the green label readily available.
Yeah, I
Right.
see it everywhere.
Yeah. You can thank me later.
That I will.
I actually blindly had double black,
Uh-huh.
green, and blue label to some people that say, "Oh my God, I love whiskey. Oh, I'm a Johnny Walker fan." They all came to the green. I was like, "Told you, told you." So it's one of those things that I think is just a tasting. If the whiskey is blended very well, it has everything that you need from it to actually get you, in that mood, get you there. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. So
Legit.
what?
I said legit.
Yes. So that's my story for today. That's what I'm talking about today.
Well, should
I
we
hope,
should we uh should we wrap it up here?
yeah, I hope you guys learned something.
I definitely learned some shit. That's for damn sure.
I hope you guys learned something. I think it's those are the little nuances that a lot of people don't talk about, and people have a long argument about when they actually are in a bar. So I want to make sure that we are, we bring it up as a knowledge to y'all, and that we talk about it here, so you guys can at least know a little bit of a little bit. Like as usual, if you have any questions or any comment, put in the comment, DM us, reach out to Tim, reach out to me. We always here to educate. We're always here to bring you closer to the little things that we've learned, or that we know. Um, as usual, we are here for y'all more than anything. I have questions. Okay. Okay, Morgan. What questions do you have? This is very acceptable. Man, Matt, I was sliding your DM. Okay. Matt is using big boy words now. I don't know. Matt's a brand ambassador now. He's using big words. This is very acceptable.
Don't use the word ambassador. It's dirty. That's a dirty word.
Is it?
It's advocate.
Advocate. Okay, okay. Okay, I'm gonna start using the word advocate. Avocat.
I will say this, okay? I could use everyone's still watching right now, and if you're watching the recast, if you got this far, I can use everyone's good vibes. I applied for a job this week that's a real big boy job with a real big boy distillery.
Okay.
And I'm calling all the favors to all the people that I know at that distillery. And fingers crossed,
Good things
it
come.
happens.
Okay.
So send me all your good vibes, please. Because if it happens, it's gonna be huge.
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 Huge. We'll send good vibes your way.
Thank you much. Thank you much.
All right, party people. This is the end of our show. As usual, make sure you support, like, share. Make sure you actually follow the YouTube channel. For all of you guys here, if you don't follow the YouTube channel, make sure you follow the YouTube channel. New content coming in. A couple brands coming in, which remind me, I have to ask you, we are supposed to have a brand on this week that we are not.
Yeah, well, the person that it was supposed to be with, and you know how fucking hard it is to tie
Oh
him
my
down.
god. All right.
He's gonna get an earful tomorrow. It's okay.
Oh no, it's fine. It don't even do. I'm about to unfollow that person
Okay.
and not just talk to them because this is the third time that something happened where they're just someone who doesn't stand by what they say, and one time is a mistake, two times is maybe an error, three times is just on purpose. That's just who you are. So
Yeah.
anyway, thank you all for watching. We appreciate y'all being here, and we can wait to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers, dudes.